What is up, everyone? It's Lovenji here, and we are back with Warhammer Dark Omen episode 16, I think, now. And it's been quite an interesting one so far, and I've really enjoyed interacting with all of you in the comments. So, this coming mission is probably the most technical mission of the campaign, and that's probably going to actually make it very, very boring to watch. You've got to work your way up through a narrow ravine, under constant archer fire, and a Screaming Skull Catapult, which inflicts fear. So, you know, if it hits anything, it runs away, and this is a very easy battle to lose control of. The way we're going to be doing this, it might not be interesting, but it is the best way to get through this with minimal casualties. So let's get this underway.
Months up and left, now we're of no use to him.
That comes as no surprise. Have you spoken to the ogres?
Yes, and they want to join us rather than go with months.
That's an offer I won't refuse. Ogres make good fighters. Tell them they're welcome, so long as they don't drink too much blood during battles.
Oh, greetings, Commander. You won't be sorry to have ogres at your back. We're ready to rip and rend.
Good. Now let's be on our way.
We've just crossed the Kislev border, Morgan.
And look who's waiting for us.
Commander Bernhardt, I presume. I am Vladimir Stormbreaker, Ice Mage to the Tsarina Katerina at the Palace of Kislev. Her Imperial Highness has sent me as your formal escort through her lands.
You have an impressive reputation, Vladimir. So, for that matter, has your Tsarina.
Of myself I say nothing, but the Tsarina is a woman above all others. It was she who saw your coming as she scribed the ice crystal. Inside that crystal, she has also witnessed the rise of the undead and their cold, silent invasion of our motherland.
It will be interesting to meet your Tsarina.
Then follow me, Commander.
Morgan, more trouble.
Let me guess. Bands of living dead on the road ahead.
Right first time.
They are strange, fearsome beings. The peasants of this region call them the Cursed Ones. The cold dead who eat warm, living flesh. After nightfall, if there is a knock on a cottage door, no peasant will open that door. Children have gone missing.
We'll bring hot war to the Cursed Ones. Ready the troops! Slaughter!
Welcome to mission 16, and here we are. It's one heck of a mission, and you may have noticed I cancelled the flyby, and the reason I did that is because I'd already failed it 3 times. So, pay very close attention to that green arrow that I told you about that indicates whether the AI can see you or not. You want to deploy your men hugging this wall with your cavalry at the front, because we're actually going to be moving out with the cavalry. In a similar formation to this, if you leveled up your Bright Wizard, having the 3rd spell means he's very likely to have the teleport spell, and you can actually use him a bit here as well to do some teleport raiding. Otherwise, you kind of just, your core units are here. You want to make sure you're deploying, hugging the wall as best you can. Test with the mortar to make sure you can fire on most of this terrain, because you're going to be doing a lot of blind firing at the ground. The important thing about this mission is, although they're not in the line of sight, all the enemy units are spawned in and can be shot, if you know where they are. So the early part of this mission is going to be similar to a couple of other missions. That was the Screaming Skull Catapult that I just hit. Just to let you know, you want to fire it around that location and listen for the sounds of death. There are 2 units of invisible zombies directly north of where the cavalry are currently sat, and a blowing of the Horn of Urgot will kill them. You have to wait a little bit for them to march closer. As you could see there, those zombies were marching as well. So you want to give yourself about 10 seconds, 20 seconds, somewhere in there, and then just blow the horn. And once you do, you'll hear the satisfying sound of zombie units routing, because the Horn of Urgot forces units to rout. And when zombie units rout, they die.
Aye, sir.
So there are a large number of archer units in this map, on high ground, as you would inevitably expect. That was the sound of the Horn of Urgot, and as you can see from all those little yellow pixels, we killed the zombie units pretty comfortably, I think. I said comfortably twice.
Aye, sir.
Anyway, a little more blind firing and we're just going to clear up, and then we're going to start exploring with the cavalry. Now, the item setup for the cavalry is very important in this mission, because what we're going to be doing is turning the hard bit about this map into our advantage. This map is narrow and winding and is basically designed for you to get shot to pieces as you try to move up it. We're not going to do that. We're instead going to run up it with the cavalry, holding the Horn of Urgot and the Shield of Tolos and the Banner of Wrath, and we're going to pull everyone into our firing squad. I give the horn another blow, just to be sure. You really want to make sure you bombard the heck out of that little central bit of terrain. All those units are spawned in and can be hit. And then where that rock is on the cliff ledge, that should be your next target, because that's where another unit of archers is. And you can hit them. You should be able to hit them. Just a little bit of aim correction. I've tried to make sure that I'm watching the impacts of the mortar just so you can see roughly where to fire to get the good collisions with the enemy regiments. And a big part of this is practice. So long as you're not in the firing range, you've got all the time in the world to just adjust your aim accordingly, because the AI won't charge you. The zombies will, but they're the only unit that will. And they can be very quickly dealt with, provided you got the Horn of Urgot last mission.
Aye, sir. Forward!
The Shield of Tolos is key to our cavalry because it's going to make it so that they can actually march up this ravine and pretty much neglect the archer fire, which you can already hear going off.
Aye, sir.
And I made a mistake.
Forward!
I thought I'd killed the
Yes, my lord.
Screaming Skull Catapult with that volley, and I hadn't. So I'm just going to retreat very quickly and correct that, because that's the one thing I don't want to get hit by. You can play this a little quicker. In fact, with the damage done to the unit and knowing where it is, I probably could have continued the march, but I respect the catapult, the undead catapult, a lot. Its ability to just inflict fear makes it incredibly infuriating to have to deal with.
We're under fire! Forward! We're under fire!
What I realise is there's no way for me to get the line of sight to drop, so I'm just going to go for it. And I get very, very promising hits with the cannon, as you saw.
Aye, sir.
Well, mortar. Stop calling the mortar the cannon.
Forward!
We didn't deploy everything because we didn't need to. For example, the cannon is basically worthless in this mission. The shape of the terrain means you just can't bring in a cannon. It won't help you in any way.
Enemy sighted!
And so, of course, this strategy is only really applicable.
Enemy sighted! Target received!
See,
Yes, my lord.
where I thought I'd hit the Screaming Skull Catapult, I was actually out, and I'd hit the Skeleton Swordsman,
Yes, my lord.
because the Skeleton Swordsman protect them. So just
Enemy sighted!
getting it into my LOS and then immediately making it my new target. and enjoying as the mortar inevitably lets me down. And all we're going to do is, because we don't want to get caught in a messy melee in the north,
Enemy sighted.
the mortar can see the unit, so the mortar's going to fire on the unit, and we're just going to kite.
Yes, my lord.
The Necromancer quickly changes his mind about that little teleport raid he was about to do.
Aye, sir. Enemy sighted.
And that's why we didn't want to get caught in a sticky melee. As you can see, there are wights on the field once again.
We're under fire. Aye, sir.
That zombie unit spawned in, that's a magical ability of the Necromancer. He can actually just cause zombie units to spawn in.
Aye, sir. Yes, my lord.
Yes.
Aye, sir.
And now that the archers have been thinned out, as well as the Screaming Skull Catapult, we can start to reveal our units and break some line of sight. Break some hiding.
Aye, sir.
I mean, zombies we're not particularly worried about. They're zombies, they're not threatening.
Aye, sir. Enemy sighted. Aye, sir.
Especially when they run away like that.
Target destroyed. Aye, sir.
So the constantly spawning zombies are the game's way of trying to encourage you not to just camp, because you will eventually get whittled away. Even if zombies are weak, an endless supply of them, you'll eventually just get whittled down. Of course that doesn't work. An endless barrage of Screaming Skulls to soften up the white unit, and the melee begins.
Open fire. Engage.
And now we're just going to have a good old scrap.
Charge! Enemy sighted. Aye, sir. Enemy sighted. We fear the
As you can see,
enemy.
the zombies rally themselves back up, and the Horn of Urgot didn't quite work.
Yes, my lord. Open fire.
So my archers are going to have a little melee with the zombies, and we're going to get the great swords involved. I know all of you in the comments love the great swords, so you'll be pleased to see they are getting a very small amount of
Enemy
action.
sighted.
Just kidding, because the Horn of Urgot makes the zombies run away.
Target received. Open fire. Enemy sighted. We're under fire.
You could just... The zombies are not threatening. They're meant to be scaring you by constantly standing back up, and you're just like, no, I've had enough. Stop that now.
Target locked. Enemy destroyed.
So once again, it's pretty much the same as before.
Enemy sighted.
We've got eyes on the Necromancer. We're going to try and kill him now. You can use the Horn of Urgot to whittle away at his magical shield, because it counts as a magical effect and therefore something you can cancel.
Attack.
And we're trying to get him into melee, but the terrain is not always the best.
Charge. We're under fire. To the death.
And that's a very quick kill.
Aye, sir.
As we already know, the magic users do not fare very well in melee combat, so
Aye, sir.
there's nothing particularly threatening about them. We are going to
sir.
bring the Imperial Greatswords up because we want a nice little
Forward.
wall to protect our ranged units.
Forward.
But this map is quite plentiful when it comes to giving you targets to kill, because we're still not done. And we've killed a lot so far.
Forward!
But we're being quite tactical and we're keeping our losses to a minimum, which is a key for this mission. When you've got battles like the Hand of Nagash coming up, you don't want to be using all your money on resupplying your armies now.
Forward!
We're going to play a lovely game of Chase Me with the units here.
Forward!
Because as you can see, there's 2 more regiments of Wights. And Wights are just so tough, we don't really want to fight 2 of them at the same time.
Aye, sir. Forward!
I think this is about the most micromanagey that this game can get. And you really don't want micromanagement in a game like this, where controlling the units is so difficult. As you can see, we're just making them chase us in a particular pattern, using the Banner of Wrath to soften them up.
Yes, my lord.
This is what I mean. This is an incredibly tactical execution of this mission, but doesn't necessarily make it very interesting to watch. There's no grand battles with everyone swinging swords. We are just slowly whittling down an unintelligent AI.
Aye, sir. Hold fire!
I'm now using the ground firing with the cannon to try and do more damage, and as you see, I get a beautiful hit there.
Yes, my lord. Enemy sighted!
So the way you ground fire with the cannon, this is a great time to explain it. Give the firing order, select the ground where you are expecting them to shoot, then immediately give them a hold fire command after they've shot.
Aye, sir.
This will stop them firing multiple shots at that same piece of ground and make sure they always have a shot chambered if your micromanagement is a little bit slow. Firing on the ground where you think the enemy is going to walk, it often means that ground is closer to you and therefore more likely to be accurate. And it factors in a lot less calculations, and so therefore you are just more likely to hit the unit. If you care about your casualties the entire time, I would recommend ground firing throughout the entirety of the campaign. We only just start using it here. But we will use it a lot more against the trolls, for example, because they're single individual units that are quite hard to hit.
Forward! Forward! Yes, my lord. Aye, sir. Hold fire! Yes, my lord.
So one of the units of Wights is more or less not going to make it into combat. The other unit is still pretty fresh. And you hadn't seen them yet, but there is a unit of swordsmen as well. Now you can see why even now I'm continuing to kite, because you don't want to be caught up in a big melee with this when you've got the opportunity to soften them up first.
Forward! Yes, my lord.
And just leading them around these big rocks means it takes them the maximum amount of time to actually get into combat, and we can do some significant damage.
Enemy sighted!
And you guessed it, another regiment of swords.
Hold fire! Forward!
Wights are almost non-existent, and as you well know, we are not afraid of scrapping with a couple of swordsmen. So this is more or less the final melee. We are just going to fight these units and clear it up.
Engage, aye, sir. Charge! Engage. Aye, sir. Engage. Engage. Yes, my lord. Enemy destroyed! To arms! Charge! Charge! Enemy destroyed! We are victorious!
So that was mission 16, and yeah, it requires a lot of blind fire with the cannon, and then just using... You have to turn your greatest disadvantage, which is the narrow, winding ravine, you have to turn that into your advantage by basically luring the enemy out into your own firing squad. Not quite as effective as you don't have the same level of high ground, but that's pretty much all we do. Anyway, as always, like, share the video, comment, subscribe, interact with me, and let me know what you'd like to see me do in future videos. Bye for now.